Jimmy McAleer found the net. Goal for Wednesday.
Terrific goal by Sheridan.
Chris Waddle, is he going to have a crack?
Oh, he does, and he scores. Still Glenn Wheeler. Aidan Flint whacks it.
Is there time for a winner?
Hello and welcome to Wednesday Tie-Dye Podcast. This is the preview show where we speak to the opposition to get insight to what to expect when the two sides meet. Next up, look, I'm not looking forward to it at all, but we've got Ipswich Town at Portman Road, and we're to tell us all about the Tractor Boys is Rich from the Suffolk Cruncher YouTube channel. Rich, how's it going, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not bad, James. Nice to see your face. I haven't seen you for a while, and nice to talk about Town Wednesday and some games gone by and what might happen on Saturday.
Don't rub it in the fact that, you've been to the Premier League and we haven't, and that's why we've not spoken. But,
It's not all that. It's not all it's made up to be, so I wouldn't worry about that.
I will get onto that in a second, actually. I just want to touch over the previous meetings that we've had. Let's look at the ones at Portman Road, because that is where this game is going to be this weekend. We haven't won in our last 3 visits to your place. Only lost the once, though. That did come the last time we played each other. A 6-0 hammering. And it was a hammering, weren't it, Rich, last time out?
Yeah, it takes me back to when we had the back-to-back promotion teams, and Amari Hutchinson I think he got a couple that day. I think even Ali Al-Hamidi come off the bench and scored a couple, James. So that shows how poor you are, because he wasn't very good for us. But some great times for us that season. We obviously ended up finishing second to Leicester, and then obviously went to the Premier League. And then, it didn't turn out the way that we hoped, but I wasn't really that surprised that it ended in relegation. And here we are back in the Championship, trying to get out again and not making a very good fist of it so far.
Yeah, we'll come on to that in a second. I mean, the previous other 2 meetings were down in League One. Both occasions we were leading. Both occasions we ended up drawing. We'll not talk about that Bailey Peacock Farrell incident and stuff like that. But you have to go back to 2019 for our last win at Portman Road. Lucas Schwau in the 90th minute, in a game which we should have won 5-0 in all fairness. We were just talking about that game off air. You were saying that was the season you went down, weren't it? And I put the highlights on because I could not remember that game for the life of me. We should have won about 5 or 6-0, to be fair. Every highlight was a Wednesday shot from either Forestieri, Adam Reach, I think Mr. Sitter, Fletcher as well. We had a half decent side, and you were pretty poor that time, weren't you?
We were dreadful. We don't really like to talk about that season. We talked about the kit that we had then. It was Magical Vegas, and we were just awful then. And you look back then and you think how poor we were then, and you're looking at now. Yeah, we're not doing that great, but I think you have to put a bit of context on it and think that we have actually come a really, really long way in 6 years since that game. And look, it is positive a little bit, but we'll get into how we've gone probably this season so far anyway.
Yeah, just for that last season then, 19th relegated, 22 points. You beat Tottenham, Wolves, Chelsea, and Bournemouth, but that was it. What was it like? Is it from the outside looking in? We haven't been there for a long time. I would say it's great initially, but then it soon wears off when you're just getting pumped every week. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, well, look, I've got 3 lads, and they've been following Town with me since they were 2 or 3, and for them, it was good for them. Look, I've seen Town playing in the Premier League a couple of times before, but it was initially you think, when them fixtures come out and you've got Liverpool at home on the first day, and then you go to Man City and you're thinking, yeah, wow. But obviously that didn't help. I don't think that start helped us, James. When you're playing 2 games, you're basically starting from zero because you're not getting anything out of them games. But initially we had some games, your Villas, your Fulhams at home, Man United at home. We played quite well in them games, but we never won. And I think if you're a promoted team when you go up, I think you need to put points on the board early, because confidence soon drains away. And when you're not winning, it's not a lot of fun when you go into games and you're thinking, we're going to get another hiding today. And we spent quite a lot of money, probably wasted quite a lot of it. people now compare what we done to what Sunderland are doing, and they're two different clubs, I know, but they got their recruitment right, and we didn't, and that was probably one of the main reasons. But the level, the main thing I sort of see with that was the stature and physicality of players. I mean, they're all massive, they're all athletes, and we just didn't. We signed some good players, but you say good championship players, and yeah, it was a bit of a damp squib in the end. And you look at us, Southampton and Leicester, and we haven't all started that well, to be quite honest, this season. And it's quite refreshing, James, if you're a football fan. You look at the championship, because normally it's the parachute teams are probably in the top 3 places, and they're not at the minute. And I don't think they probably will be for a long while yet, and maybe not even this season.
Yeah, it's just annoying that we haven't taken advantage of that whatsoever. You know, it's a poor league, which we'll come on to in a bit, but we're down at the bottom and absolutely no chance, and heading straight into League One, which is a crying shame. Just on kind of last season and going into the Prem, by all accounts there were some improvements in the ground and stuff like that. Have you seen a lot of, in terms of like the infrastructure and stuff like that? Have you seen, since the new owners have come in, have you seen a lot of changes, like either at Portman Road or just in general at Ipswich Town?
Massive. They've done loads of work to the stadium. I mean, there was about 40 projects. They've done like one of these videos before the start of last season. It was like a week to go, and there was still stuff.
I saw that they were doing stuff for the TV, and they had to get things in place for like the cameras and the VAR and all that sort of stuff. But
don't talk to me about VAR. I mean, that's one thing, at least in the Championship, that we'll hopefully never see. But yeah, look, now we're building a new training ground. That's probably going to be done, I think, by next summer. There talks about they're going to knock the Cobbold stand down where the Wednesday fans house the visitors. That will go eventually. Yeah, that will go. And they're talking about potentially a 40,000-seater stadium. But to do that at the minute, I just think you've got to be sustainable. You've got to be a Premier League team. Because if you probably look back, I don't know what the crowd was that game when we played you in 2019. I mean, it was probably 15,000, 16,000. Now we're full every week, but football fans are very fickle. You know, a lot of clubs that when you're doing well, people want to come and watch you. I think we've got 6,000 on the season ticket waiting list now. So the ground isn't big enough at the minute. But if you're going to go for a 40,000 stadium, the long-term plan is to get into the Premier League and stay there. But that's easier said than done. And a lot of people, James, they're not worried about stuff that goes on, infrastructure and all that. They want a team on the pitch that are performing, don't they? And when you're spending a lot of money, you've got to get your recruitment right. And I don't think we have got that right at the moment. And we'll probably have to spend some more money, I would have thought, in January.
Yeah, 16,888 was the attendance for that game back in 2019. Just a quick thank you, Google, for helping me out there whilst you were talking about that. Let's talk about the manager then. Kieran McKenna. He's just outside the top 10, 11th in fact, in terms of longest serving managers in the EFL. 4 years and 1 day. I'm sure Ipswich probably did something yesterday to celebrate the fact that it was 4 years. What's your take on the gaffer?
I think we spoke on here when we were probably in League One that when he came in, he was pretty unknown quantity. People had heard of him because he was obviously at United with Jose and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I mean, the rise he had was absolutely brilliant. Back-to-back promotions. And then, look, I'd love to have a chat with Kieran and that season when we got promoted to the Premier League and you had Brighton interested in him, Chelsea, Man United. Does he regret possibly staying at Town? Because I don't know. Because I look at Maresca at Chelsea, James, and he was the Leicester manager when we got promoted, and he's no better than McKenna. And he's obviously come out last weekend and he had some strange comments, and he'll probably get the sack sooner or later. So maybe a Brighton, that would have been a good move for Kieran. But look, I'm happy that he stayed because he showed a bit of loyalty, struggled last season, and I think now for probably the first time, he's probably under pressure, I think, with internally with the owners, because we've shelled out a lot of money on players and we're not really performing consistently at the minute. We've had some good results, but I think sometimes the results have masked the performances because I don't think we've played consistently well all season at the minute. And I'm going to judge him at the end of the season. I think that's a fair time to see where we are. But I think ultimately the goal is to return to the Premier League, be that in the top two, which at the minute it's Coventry they're nearly over the hill and disappeared there, 13 points. We're eight points behind Middlesbrough. So if we had to go in the playoffs and get promoted that way, it's still the same, isn't it? But yeah, I think he's under a little bit of pressure. I'm not saying by any stretch of imagination I think they should make a change, but we've got to start winning football matches and we've got to start being consistent, I think, in the second half of the season.
Has he changed his style of play then at all, or is he still trying to play the same way that he did when you got promoted to the Premier League?
Yeah, 4-2-3-1. He hasn't really moved away from that. There was maybe the odd time in the Premier League he went three at the back, centre backs, but no, 4-2-3-1. He's been quite consistent, like when he does his substitutions, and people might criticise him with that. I think a little bit now, saying he's not really adaptable. But I think when he came in, we'd had managers, we'd had Paul Cook, we'd had Lambert, Paul Hurst, obviously McCarthy. We never really had an identity as a football club, like style of play, how you want to play, and I think a lot of managers, James, are stubborn, and I think they just stick to what they know sometimes, and that might be some managers' downfall. But I admire Kieran for sticking with it. There is times when I think maybe change something, maybe have a plan B, but he doesn't seem to want to do that, and he knows more. He knows more about football than I do.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because you always, we as a football club now are talking about we don't have an identity in terms of the style of play or the players that we bring in or the managers and things like that, and we're crying out for something like that. But then when things start to go wrong, you cry out for them to change something. So it's, I suppose the damned if they do and the damned if they don't, aren't they? Really, I suppose when it's going well, you know, if whatever they're doing at that moment in time is the right thing, but then when it starts to go wrong, people just look for the opposite, don't they, all the time? And yeah, I'm just looking now. Yeah, 4-2-3-1. He has played that formation every single game so far. It actually says that it was one game where it was a 4-4-1-1, which, I mean, if you look at the two differences, it's pretty much exactly the same. Like it doesn't really change. It is just that one man up top, really. Is he being found out, do you think? If you are playing the same way each week, there's an element of, you know, like there's a lot of data out there. There's a lot of video clips and stuff. Are you becoming a little bit predictable?
Possibly. He's coming for a bit of criticism because he was making quite a lot of changes. I know the Championship, you're playing obviously another 8 games than we were in the Premier League, and you're playing midweek, and we've just come off the back of, I think, 7 games in 22 days because we had the Blackburn game that had to be replayed because it was obviously rained off, and he'd made quite a lot of changes. But then the last few weeks, the Coventry and the Stoke game, he'd only made minimal changes. I think Hurst was suspended for the Stoke game, and then the one that surprised me is it was on Saturday at Leicester, because we played on the Wednesday night against Stoke. We're off the back of the 7th game in 22 days. And you'd have thought if there was a time to make maybe 3 or 4 changes then, I think you could have probably got on board with it, thinking, look, they're maybe a bit tired, freshen it up. But he didn't. He only made, I think, a couple of changes. There was Agueli was injured, was ill, and I think Hurst obviously come back in up top. But like you just said there, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you get the result and you've made some changes, everyone's going to say, oh, yeah, look, he's done well there today. But if you don't, then they're going to say, oh, why did you need to change the team? But I just think that was the opportunity that I was a bit surprised. But maybe I don't know if he's listened to some noise outside with people saying, because I think it was before the Coventry game, they asked him in his press conference on the Friday, and he gave them a 7-minute answer of why he rotated. And I like Kieran because he'll always, a lot of managers they never really answer anything, do they? They just go around in circles. Whereas Kieran, he will give you a straight answer, and sometimes you think, oh yeah, you get on board, and he makes you sort of believe why he's doing it. But we'll have to see going forward, because obviously a lot of games over Christmas. But I think if we're going to get anywhere near the top 2, I think you've got to have a consistent 11, and you might make the odd change here and there of injuries and suspensions, but a lot of managers like to tinker nowadays. They can't play 3 games, James, in a week. They're tired, bless them.
No, we can't make any changes because we just don't have enough players, to be honest. But just looking at your recent form, then, Rich, I always kind of look at the last 6. It's 3 wins, 2 defeats, and 1 draw. Wins against Hull, Coventry, and Stoke, all to nil. I want to point out as well. Defeats to Oxford, must have been foggy out there, Rich, and Leicester.
Don't drop that tweet again like last time. You remember that, the League One days? I always remember that game. I always remember. So when we went there with my lads, and one of my youngest, Archie, he was young enough then I could pick him up and look over, behind the goal where there's no stand. There's the fence. So it was
the fence end,
day. Yeah, it was a frosty day. So I'd pick him up and had them heaters on the pitch. And we thought, the main thing we thought then was, we never know, the pitch might be frozen. Never in a million years did I think it was going to be foggy. And I remember going down at half time, speaking to someone, and I come up for the second half, and up the steps I come and I thought, what's going on here? It's like, this game cannot be played. And they played it, and then Cameron Brannigan scored the winner, didn't he? And the fog game. Yeah, Oxford, not a happy hunting ground for Town.
I think I rattled a few Ipswich fans with that tweet. Look, I would never delete it, and I think, to be fair, some people said, like later on when they brought it out, at least he's not deleted it. At least it's still there.
It was like the Wednesday Crumble, wasn't it? That one when you fell apart. So it works both ways. But
it was I dined out on that one. I must admit. But yeah, anyway, Leicester was the other defeat most recently, the 3-1, and then a 1-1 draw in Blackburn. And your rearranged fixture. We know all about the rain at Blackburn. Our game got called off for that as well. What you've kind of touched a little bit on performances. What have they been like in recent games? Should you perhaps have deserved a little bit more from some of them, or were you lucky to win others?
I'd say pretty inconsistent. I just think that's where we've been. But you look at the Oxford game on the Friday night on the TV. We played the same team, that fixture, that we did the next Saturday against Coventry. And you think Coventry were taking teams apart, scoring goals for fun. Yet we rolled them 3-0. Football just never makes sense sometimes, James. We beat the league leaders 3-0. Yet we go to Oxford on a Friday night, and I wouldn't say that Town turn up in some fixtures and just think we have to turn up to win, but we just never got going that night. And Gary Rowett's, they done a number on us. Even the whole game away, for 65 minutes, the game was terrible. I mean, they were poor, and so were us. And then we scored a goal, and then in the end we won 2-0. It was quite comfortable. Coventry at home was decent. Stoke home was decent. The Blackburn away game, we were awful that night. We were terrible, and it made me chuckle because all the Blackburn fans, when the original fixture was rained off at 80 minutes, said they should have been awarded the win, because there was 10 minutes left and we were down to 10 men. And then in the rearranged game, we score in 94, 50 seconds. There's 10 seconds to go, so that shows you that there's a lot of late goals. But we didn't play well in that game, and we've been.
Just looking at that game, what happened at the end? Four yellows and a red in the 94th minute. Were you all fighting with each other or what?
In what game was that? The Blackburn game?
In the Blackburn game, yeah. It says there were 4 yellows and a red right at the death.
Didn't see any red cards.
Oh, Jacob Greaves got a red card.
No, that was the original. That was the original game.
Is it right?
Yeah.
That'll be why, because we found this out. The yellow cards actually carry on into so basically everything else doesn't count. Goals and stuff don't count, but yellow cards actually do. So that because that would make sense, because Cedric Kipre got booked in the 26th minute and then apparently got booked in the 94th. This is obviously just the way that they've got. I
remember in the original game, he done a tackle. I think he clattered one of their players and slid about 30 yards, because it was like literally. It's them ones you see on the telly when they slide that they just go. But that's an anomaly. That doesn't make sense. That the game doesn't count. The goals that were scored in the game don't count. Yet if you get a red card or a yellow, that carries over. So I'm not quite sure. Yeah,
it's a strange one. It's a strange one, that one, isn't it? Really, but yeah. I mean, your home form's good, isn't it? I suppose it's just your away form that's poor, and it's just a crying shame that this game on Saturday is at Portman Road, I guess.
Yeah, I think we're second to Coventry with points taken at home. Away, we've struggled. We struggle if we concede first. So if you could get a goal ahead, We haven't come back yet. I think we've been behind in 8 games. We've lost 4 and we've drawn 4. So if you could get that first goal, James, you might you could get something out of the game.
That's the problem, mate. Scoring goals at the moment. We are really struggling on that front. Players to watch then. It goes without saying, Jadon Philogene, he's the obvious one. Scored a worldie the other week that I saw. One of his 7 goals this season and 9 goal involvements. How good is Jadon?
I would say he's like the team. He's inconsistent. Yeah. He's really good at home. He's all of his stuff, his best work he's done is at home. He hasn't scored a goal away yet. Look, don't give him any room about 20, 25 yards out because he'll cut inside and he'll put one in the top corner. But I think he's a good player, but he's inconsistent. He's like a lot of them at the minute. I mean, Jack Clark, another good player, but he's another one. He tried. McKenna played him on the right-hand side on Saturday away at Leicester, and I'm thinking, where does Jack Clark play, James? He plays on the left-hand side, doesn't he? When he was at Sunderland, that was his best position. I don't like to keep going back to the season when we got promoted, but this team we've got now, and not a patch on that team we had there with your leadership with Sam Morsey's probably the biggest. For me, that was the biggest mistake we made in the summer, letting him go. I think McKenna wanted to keep him. I think it was down to the owner. He had a year left in his contract. He went to Saudi. He was there about a month, played 3 games, and now he's back training with Wolves. So there you go. Come back, Sam. We'll have you back in January.
Yeah, definitely. The other one is the player I mentioned, Cedric Kipre. I think he's your highest rated player on Who Scored, apparently, but probably wins every single header. Is probably why he's up there in the stats. People might know him from being at West Brom or Wigan, going a bit further back. What's he been like?
That's an interesting one there because we signed Jacob Greaves last summer from Hull, and he was I think he was in the Championship team of the season when we got promoted at Hull. Struggled a little bit in the Premier League, but I thought dropping back down to the level that he's at, I thought it'd be good. And there was a stage where he didn't really know if he was going to play Greaves or Kipre, but I think he's played about 9 out of the last 11 now, James, and he seems to he's got in and he's played well, and yeah, he's good in the air. He's a decent defender. He's a decent defender at this level, but it's a strange one to me because we've signed him on loan. He's playing out in France. You shelled out a lot of money on Greaves. He's also left-footed, Greaves, where Kipre plays on that left-hand side and he's right-footed. And McKenna always likes a left-footer out there. So, yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, but he's done a decent job so far. But, yeah, he's if it was up to me, I'd be playing Greaves because you shelled out a lot of money on him. He can play at this level, and Kipre's he's only a loan player. I think they've got an obligation to buy if we did get promoted. But at the minute, I'm thinking, blimey, if this team got promoted, we would have to spend another shed load of cash because we are nowhere near it.
Go on then. Who else do we need to look out for, if anyone?
Obviously, George Hurst with the links to you. He's got 6 goals, but we still haven't replaced Delap. We'll be looking for a striker, I would have thought, in the summer. Leif Davis, there's not many left from that promotion team, but they've tried to sort of change his role a little bit, James, and they try to play him inverted now, where for 2 seasons in League One and the Championship, I think he had about 33 assists, and he was great, bombing down that wing. But because we signed Philogene and we signed Jack Clark, they like to hug that touchline. So McKenna's tried to sort of play Leaf inside a little bit. It doesn't work for me because he's left foot. He's all left foot, and when someone in positions he'll pick up, he needs a right foot, and he hasn't got a right foot, and that's one for me where Leif Davis he's really good getting to that byline, pulling the ball back, and you've nullified, I think, one of his strengths and one of the strengths of the team. So I know that McKenna, like we say, look, is he predictable? Is it predictable how we play? But then he's tried to do something different there. So we can't say you're predictable, but then he tries something different and then moan at that. So it's one of them. But I don't think it works with Davis trying to play there. I just think a player like that, you should play to your strengths. But we've gone away from how we played a little bit in the Championship when we got promoted. And even in the Premier League, we had like Broadhead and Sammy Smodics. They played it in that left side, but they played inside, like an inside 10, and then giving Davis the space to go outside. Whereas, yeah, look, it's one of those. Football fans are never happy, are they? They're never happy, whatever happens, unless we're winning. And then we don't really care.
Exactly. Go on, let's move ahead to Saturday's game then. I don't want to score a prediction just yet, but how do you see this game panning out? Surely you're looking for a fairly commanding win against a side that's only won one game all season, I guess.
You hope so, wouldn't you? Off the back of losing at Leicester. We've got 2 really hard away games after we play you. We've got Millwall Boxing Day and then we go to Coventry on the Monday. So we really need to be winning this game. I mean, if we don't get the result that we want, Saturday night, if you're on the socials and you're an Ipswich fan, just stay off them because it's an absolute meltdown. It is. If we don't get one week, when we beat Coventry, James, we're going to win the league, we're going to get promoted. We lose at Leicester and everyone's crap again. So, yeah, look, I'd expect a Town win, but you never know in football. There is that 1% chance that you might come there and we might have a player sent off, you might get a lucky goal and then you might hang on to it. But I very much doubt it. I'll be really disappointed if I'm leaving that ground at 10 to 5 and we haven't won. I don't care if we... I don't want to hammer that. We hammered you last time. You don't want another 6-0 defeat to go away with, do you? Really?
Well, we don't, but I'm sure you would like it. Go on then. What's the score going to be then, Rich, on Saturday?
I'd take a 2-0 win now. You know, we've kept 3 clean sheets in the last 3 home games, so we're obviously improving there. Just get the 3 points, get the job done, avoid any injuries, and then we've got to get the foot to the floor in these games around Christmas time. You know, if we're going to make up that gap to Middlesbrough, I mean, what a job to come into the Middlesbrough gaffer, James. You know, normally a manager comes in when a club's they're on their knees, they're on the floor, they're losing games, and they don't know where the next points come from. He's come in, they're second in the league. I think they've won his first 3 or 4 games, and I think it's going to be really difficult for us to claw that gap back at the minute. We haven't won 3 games on the bounce all season. Whereas you look at a team like Coventry, I think before they played us, I think they'd won 10 out of 11. And that's the sort of run we're going to have to go on after Christmas. If we're going to make the top 2, we're going to have to do that. But at the minute, I see us as a playoff team. And once you're in the playoffs, you never know, unless you're 4-0 down to Peterborough away and then you think it's all over, and then you come back. And
Well, of course.
turnarounds.
Of course you do. Go on, Rich, before I let you go, obviously I know you've been keeping abreast of the situation at Sheffield Wednesday. I know you sometimes listen to the podcast and things. What's your take on the whole situation at the moment?
Well, I mean, I've never seen a fan base celebrate going to administration. Normally you're thinking, this is terrible, isn't it? You're losing points. But I see...
So obviously you've been there before, haven't you? You've been in administration before.
We were probably the first club when ITV Digital collapsed and that. But we were lucky then because we didn't get no points deducted. Whereas now, I mean, you've had, 10? Is it 10 off you've had?
18 points deducted. Yeah, it was 12, and then we had a further 6 as well handed to us. So,
but I mean, look, you've got rid of Chanziri, you've got your football club back. I don't know. I was following it on the socials that day when he'd gone, and I mean, the club shop. Was there anything happening in there? Nothing was getting bought, was it?
Yeah. So there was people told not to buy anything from the shop, not to buy anything in the ground. Spent £500,000 over that weekend from Friday dinner time till kind of Sunday evening. £500,000 was spent, which is absolutely incredible, isn't it? When you think about it, and yeah, it just shows the power of the fans, doesn't it? Again, I guess, Rich.
Yeah, it's just it's obviously at the minute it's going to be a long road back for you, but you're going to go down. Hopefully, you get the right person comes in and buys your football club, and then you can clear the decks, and you just have to start again. I mean, Sheffield Wednesday, massive football club, James. You know, you go to Hillsborough, that probably needs a lot of TLC. The stadium, you know, it's going to take time, but you hope eventually one day you'll get back to where you probably want to be, and you'll get back to the Premier League. You know, I know at the minute you're not thinking that because you're bottom of the Championship. You're going to go to League One. You've been there before. You've gone to them grounds like Fleetwood and your Morecambe's. And it ain't much fun. We've been there. We were there with you. It's not much fun, but you've got to look to hopefully turn it around, start winning games, because when you're winning, it's fun, isn't it? It must be hard for you when you're on your podcast talking every single week and you're trying to be positive, but you're losing games.
There were absolutely no positivity after the last one. Well, to be fair, I'm quite thankful that we played on Monday night and not Saturday afternoon with
I've been hearing
that
a lot talk
performance.
about your goalkeeper and his passing.
Well,
he's very good.
He's all right. But look, he may well be at Ipswich come January. You never know. Because I'm sure a lot of clubs will be sniffing around to try and take him off our hands, and I'm sure his agent will be doing the God's work to try and get him a move somewhere else. He shouldn't really be playing down in League One, which is where we'll be obviously next season.
Yeah.
Rich, where can people find you if they want to listen to your ramblings about Ipswich and you know, if we miraculously manage to beat you, I'm sure we might have a few people jumping on for some shits and giggles.
Yeah. Head over to the Suffolk Crunch on YouTube, the Cruncher on Twitter. Can I just give a quick mention? There was
of course you can,
Town fan. Sadly, Andrew Hammond, massive Town fan, went home and away. I only see him on Saturday at Leicester. He's one of them people, James, that you don't know who I see a lot of people, but you go to the games and you recognise faces. Yeah. And sadly took his own life on Monday. He was 52. I think there's going to be something in the programme, something on the big screen. If there's any Wednesday fans who listen to this, going to the game. And I think they might be trying to do a minute's applause on 52 minutes because he's obviously 52. So, really sad. Men's mental health, I mean, it's absolutely horrendous. When I got the phone call on Tuesday and my mate Colin was telling me, and he was saying, "Do you know Andrew?" And I said, "No." And then he described him, and I knew instantly. I knew who he was, and I just think, as men, we don't talk enough. And I think it's if you got troubles, and Christmas time's a horrible time. It is for some people because they're on their own. But there's always people out there will help you. There's always people out there to talk.
Joe, the best video that I've seen when it comes to the mental health was the one that Norwich
Brilliant.
did, where the two guys are sat next to each other, and all the way through the video, you kind of think, I know what's going to happen here, and then it does the whole switcheroo at the end, and you think, like just about kind of. For those that haven't watched it, do go and watch it. I'll put a link in the Discord to that video, and it's about kind of he was, I think he was asking the other guy if he's all right and stuff, and I don't think he ever got asked himself, and in the end it was actually him that was actually struggling and stuff. So mental health does matter. People out there, we're all here to talk and chat. If it's, and I suppose that's the thing. And football is a release for a lot of people, and that's why it's difficult at the moment where we're getting pumped every week. I think a lot of people forget, and our previous owner certainly forgot that. For some people, this is all they've got. Like football is the one thing that they look forward to, on every weekend. Whether that's either going to the games or just watching it on the TV or listening to it on the radio, whatever it may be. And the people turning to not follow the club at the moment because of how bad it is. And it's sad, isn't it, really, Rich?
I mean, I see when your fans weren't going to the games, and I mean, putting yourself in that position that it's what you do. When you've gone for years, and football's people's release, James. It is. Everyday life at the minute is a real struggle. The world's not a great place, but you go to football, you go and see your mates, and you can just switch off for a couple of hours and go and have a beer, see your mates, watch your team, and it's just really sad, but. Yeah, but
I'm sure all those that are going to Portman Road on Saturday will take part and things, and we're actually hoping that we didn't have to, because that would mean he was still here, but alas. Rich, massive thanks for coming on, pal. Do really appreciate it as always. I know we do chat off air and stuff, so I'm sure that will continue. But all the best for the rest of the season, and thanks for pumping Sheffield United when you played them last time.
5-0. Merry Christmas.